In this video, we're going to have a look at the difference between using an adjective ending in ing, such as boring, or the same counterpart ending in ed, such as bored. In English, there are lots of verbs which imply emotions or feelings from which you can derive both these adjectives ending in ing or ed, such as bore, so you can get boring or bored. Annoy, you can get annoying or annoyed. Confusing or confused. Disappointing, disappointed. Interesting or interested. Irritating or irritated. Exciting or excited. Frightening or frightened. Surprising or surprised. Tiring or tired. And worrying or worried, among others. When you get the base of the verb and then the ending in ing, what you mean, you're referring to something or somebody causing or creating that feeling. Something that is active and that's being the cause of that feeling or emotion. So typically, what you describe is how people or things are. Always, not at just one point in time. For example, you could say, have you seen that film? It's really frightening, because the film creates that feeling. You could say, I could listen to her for hours. She's so interesting. This person creates the feeling of interest in other people. Or I could say, I can't sleep, that noise is really annoying. The noise annoys me. That is something active. In contrast, when you use an adjective ending in ed from these very same verbs, what you're referring to is to somebody, typically somebody, receiving that emotion or getting that emotion or feeling as a result. So they receive it, they are the recipients of that emotion, but they are passive recipients of this emotional feeling. So what you're doing is you're describing how people feel at one particular moment. Not all the time, not how they are, but how they feel. So, for example, you could say, he was surprised, he felt surprised to see Helen after all these years. Seeing Helen was surprising. The situation was surprising, so he was surprised. He received the surprise. Or for example, you could say, she was really tired and went to bed early. She received that feeling. Let's compare both these ing and ed adjectives for you to see the difference more clearly. If you think of a lesson and you have the students here, you could say, the lesson was so boring that she fell asleep. For example, the student here. Okay, so the lesson was so boring. The lesson was creating the feeling of boredom. And so as a consequence, she was so bored that she fell asleep. That is the consequence, that is the result. And as a result, you have that feeling. But the lesson was boring. That's intrinsically boring. It's not just something temporary. It's not how the lesson felt, but the lesson was boring and created that feeling in this person. Imagine this woman at work. At work, she had a really tiring day. Again, so her activity at work was causing this feeling. So by the end of the day, she was so tired as a consequence, as a result, that she went to bed early. So as you can see, this is the active bit. The day was very tiring. The day caused her tiredness. And so she was the recipient. She was very tired. For example, if there is a leaky tap at home and you have drops of water, dripping constantly, this sound of a tap dripping in the background is annoying. That's causing the feeling. And so if you hear it all the time, you could say, I was so annoyed. As a consequence, you were annoyed. You received that feeling. You don't create it. What creates the feeling, what creates annoyance is the sound, not you. And just one more example. If you think of English pronunciation, where you have, for example, words which are spelled differently but pronounced exactly the same, among many other problems, you could say that English pronunciation is confusing. It creates confusion. You could also say, I'm confused by English pronunciation. And you are somehow a passive recipient of that confusion. Something is creating it, English pronunciation, and you receive it. This is the feeling you get. This is the feeling you receive. Because English pronunciation is always confusing, but you feel confused.